Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. And today I want to show you guys the craziest replay I've ever had. This game was so much back and forth, it was so close, and I have no words for how crazy this game got. So I just want to show you guys from start to finish. Strap in, this is going to be a ride. Alright, so I'm playing my 60 card Grass Tearlament Horus deck, and I'm going up against Snake Eyes Rescue Ace. I'm going first. Alright, my hand is Unicorn, Tearlament's Kashtira, Imseti, and That Grass Looks Greener. Basically, the absolute best hand I could have hoped for. I have multiple cards that can bait my opponent's interaction, then I just play Grass and I go off. So we're going to start things off by special summoning Kashtira Unicorn from our hand. We trigger the effect to add Birth. Then we'll use Imseti's effect. We pitch 2 to add King Sarcophagus from our deck to our hand and draw a card. Our opponent has not interacted with us yet, so we can be safe to assume he doesn't have Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs. So now we just Grass. We send the top. Okay, so for those of you that don't know how That Grass Looks Green works, this card is in Duel Links. If you have more cards in your deck than your opponent does, send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard so that you have the same number of cards in your deck as your opponent. So since I have 60 cards in my deck and he only has 40, he has 43 actually, we milled quite a few. So we ended up milling Trick Clown, Fairy Tale Snow, Tearlament's Grief, Supreme Sea Mare, Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, Foolish Burial Goods, another Supreme Sea Mare, Triple Tactics Thrust, Called by the Grave, Tearlament's Scream, Tearlament's Rhino Heart, Shaddoll Beast, Tearlament's Shiren, Evenly Matched. Yeah. Okay. So now we trigger all of our cards in order. So Trick Clown went to the graveyard most recently, so its effect activates. We target a Trick Clown in our graveyard, special summon it, we take 1,000 damage, and its attack points become 0. Shiren effect is a Chain Link 2. We can fusion summon with cards in our graveyard. Shaddoll Beast is a Chain Link 3. We draw a card. Rhino Heart is a Chain Link 4. It can special summon itself. Scream is a Chain Link 5. We add a Tearlament's Trap from our deck to our hand. And then, as a Chain Link 6, our opponent Max C's us. Now, Max C, of course, every time I special summon a monster this turn, my opponent draws a card. Okay. I don't have any way to stop that, so here we go. I'm going to chain Rainbow Bridge of Salvation to that. I banish it from the graveyard to add an Aqua monster and a field spell from my deck to my hand. So I choose Crystal Beast, Emerald Tortoise, and Wall of the Emerald Tomb. We draw Tearlament's Crime with our trap. And then we bring back our Rhino Heart, and we send the Kashtira to the graveyard. We draw opponent draws a card. We get to draw a card off of Beast that adds Happy Guide of Horns to our deck. Now we fuse Tearlament's Shiren and Supreme Sea Mare into Tearlament's Kitkallos. Opponent draws a second card. Trick Clown comes back. We take 1,000. Our opponent draws a third card. Rhino Heart's effect activates as a Chain Link 1 because it was special summoned. Tearlament's Kitkallos' effect activates as a Chain Link 2 because it was special summoned. And then Kashtira Unicorn's effect activates as a Chain Link 3 because the opponent activated Max C. Then we can also activate Kashtira's effect as a Chain Link 4 because it went to the graveyard. So now we mill 2 more cards, which is our second copy of Scream and Rhino Heart. That's unfortunate. That means that we can't search Scream with Kitkallos, which is what I was going to do. So we'll have to do something else. We banish Access Code from the opponent's deck because we're going second. So the Access Code is... He's going second. Access Code is like the best card to have going second, so we just make sure he doesn't have access to it. We add Sulliak from our deck to our hand. Then we pitch the Rhino Heart's effect is... When this card is special summoned, you can send a Tearlament's monster from your deck to the graveyard. So we're going to send Tearlament's Havness, which did not get milled with our Grass. And Havness's effect also, as like Shiren's, is if it's sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can fusion summon a monster. So we're going to fuse the Kitkallos with the Havness into Tearlament's Rolkalos. Now, Tearlament's Rolkalos' effect is other Aqua monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. When your opponent activates a card or effect that includes an effect that special summons a monster, as a quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. then send one Tier Limits card from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard. And if Rolkalos is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon it. Alright. We activate Kashtira Birth, and we use its effect to special summon Tier Limits Kashtira from our graveyard. Our opponent draws another card. Tier Limits Kashtira's effect, we send the top 3 cards of our deck to the graveyard, and now we're going to link summon, link all 4 of these monsters together into Apollousa Bow of the Goddess with 3,200 attack points. Now, Apollousa has the effect of the original attack of this card becomes 800 times the number of link materials, and then once per chain, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can reduce Apollousa's attack points by 800 forever, and if you do, negate the activation. It doesn't destroy the card, but it's only once per chain, and it is 4 times in a turn. Excellent. We're going to activate King's Sarcophagus, which allows us to send a card from our hand to the graveyard to send a Horus monster from our deck to the graveyard. So we send one Horus monster from our hand to the graveyard to mill the other Horus monster. Then we will send the field spell as well to get the last Horus monster in our graveyard. Now, each of the Horus monsters other than Horus the Black Flame Deity has the effect to special summon itself once per turn from the graveyard if you control King's Sarcophagus. So we revive all 4 monsters, and then we're going to set 2 traps, and we're going to end our turn. Now, let's talk about what sort of board I've built here. I have 4 monster negates. I have the ability to negate a card or effect that would special summon a monster. I have a effect monster negate with Tier Limits Sulliek. I have a Omni negate with Tier Limits Crime. I also have my 4 Horus monsters on the field. None of them have an effect that I can use automatically, but if any card I control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, then I can activate all 4 of their effects immediately, which would be: for the rest of the turn, the opponent cannot target Horus monsters for attacks or Horus monsters on the field for card effects. I draw cards equal to the number of monsters with different names in my main monster zone. I can target 2 cards that are banished or in the graveyards and either add them to the hand or shuffle them into the deck, which would allow me to get back... like if I used Max C, it would allow me to get back Max C. If I used another hand trap, then it would allow me to recycle that, or it would give me more fuel for next turn. And then lastly, Imseti, the big one, you could send 1 card on the field to the graveyard without targeting. Okay, so yeah, I have a lot of interaction here. I have Max C in my hand, and we're going to pass. The opponent has drawn cards. They are now at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cards. So the opponent has 14 cards in their hand, and they have a 15th card for drawing for turn. Okay. So the opponent's going to start by activating Bonfire. We will Max C. Bonfire lets him add a level 4 or lower Pyro monster from his deck to his hand. He's going to Called by the Grave to counter my Max C. Then he'll chain with his own Max C. So if I special summon from the at all this turn, he's going to draw a card, but I can't draw any cards when he special summons. Next, he's going to activate Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils to add a Diabellstar monster from his deck to his hand. Okay, so that's 3 cards out of his hand, but he's going to add 2 more. So he adds Diabellstar the Black Witch. He counters my Max C. And then he adds Snake Eyes Poplar to his hand. Okay. When Snake Eyes Poplar is added to the hand, except by drawing it, you can special summon it, so he's going to activate that effect. We will activate Apollousa's effect in response to negate that. However, Apollousa's effect is only once per chain. So now he has the option to start activating other cards in his hand. So he's going to immediately activate his Rescue Ace Airlifter, which is when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field as a quick effect, you contribute this card from your hand or your field to special summon a Rescue Ace monster from your hand except Rescue Ace Airlifter. Okay, I can't stop that with Apollousa. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate Tier Limits Rolkalos' effect. And Tier Limits Rolkalos negates the activation, and if you do, destroy the card, then send 1 Tier Limits card from your hand or field to the graveyard. However, this is the interesting part. So since I did not destroy his card because it was tributed as part of cost, I don't have to send a Tier Limits card from my hand or field to the graveyard. He's going to chain. He's going to activate Rescue Ace Impulse. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you contribute this card from your hand or field to special summon a Machine Rescue Ace monster from your deck. And I am going to chain to that with Tearlament's Crime, which is when a spell or trap or monster effect is activated, you can, while you control a Tearlament's monster, negate the activation. If you do, shuffle that card into the deck, then send one monster from your hand to the graveyard. However, since I'm not able to shuffle the card into the deck because it's in his graveyard now, that also doesn't make me pay cost. Okay, a rough interaction there, but 2 cards are now out of his hand. We've lost our trap card, and we've lost our Roll Colossus interaction, but we still have 3 negates with Appaloosa and the negate with Tearlament Sulliek. He's going to pitch his... he's going to discard Snake Eyes Poplar from his hand to special summon Diabellstar the Black Witch from his hand. That triggers Diabellstar's effect as a Chain Link 1. If this card is normal special summon, you can set a Sinful Spoil spell or trap directly from your deck. And then as a Chain Link 2 from the graveyard, Snake Eyes Poplar's effect, you can target a fire monster in your graveyard, place it face up in its owner's spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. So since he's chain blocking me, if I use my Appaloosa here, I can only stop him from playing Snake Eyes Poplar in the spell and trap zone. I can't stop the interaction of searching a card from the deck. But I'm going to do it anyway, because I know how Snake Eyes works, and I don't want him to get his Poplar back. So that's my second monster negate. He sets the Sinful Spoils, and then he's going to activate his field spell. Now, at this point, I couldn't negate Diabellstar with Appaloosa. I could have negated it with Tearlament Sulliek, but I didn't think that it was right. It was the right time. So he's going to activate Rescue Ace HQ, and he's going to normal summon. He normal summons his Rescue Ace Fire Hydrant, and then he gets an additional normal summon thanks to Rescue Ace HQ, which allows him to summon his Rescue Ace Airlifter. Rescue Ace Airlifter's effect, if this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 Rescue Ace spell or from your deck to your hand. Now I am going to activate Tearlament Sulliek's effect to negate his face-up monster. However, he has a quick play spell, Emergency, which allows him to special summon a Rescue Ace monster from his deck, then tribute a Rescue Ace monster from his hand or field. So he's going to special summon a monster from the deck and then tribute his Airlifter as part of the same card. Then when my card resolves, his monster's not going to be on the board, so he will still get his search effect because I can't negate it while it's not face up. So he summons his Ace monster, Rescue Ace Turbulence, from the deck. Tributes his monster. My Sulliek fails to find a monster, but that also means... Once again, so I have the effect, negate its effects, then send 1 monster you control to the graveyard. Once again, since I have failed to meet the conditions of the card, for the 3rd time this turn, I do not pay the cost of my Tearlament's card. So he's going to add his Rescue Ace card to his hand. Alright, now he's going to activate Rescue Ace Turbulence's effect, which is absolutely terrifying. During your main phase, you can set up to 4 Rescue Ace spells or traps with different names from your deck. No, we are going to Appaloosa that. Alright, now he's going to activate his Rescue Ace Hydrants effect. During your main phase, you can add 1 Rescue Ace monster from your deck to your hand. We are also going to Appaloosa that. At this point, we are now out of negates. Alright, so now he's going to activate his field spell. Once per turn, you can target 4 of your Rescue Ace cards that are banished in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw 1 card. Because after all the cards he drew, he still needs 1 more. This turns out to be exactly what he needed, though, because the card he top decked is Triple Tactics Talent. Now he gets to take 1 of my monsters, and he's going to choose my Appaloosa. Now you might think, why would you do that? It's got no negates left. It's got no attack points left. Well, the reason for that is because first he's going to activate Rhoda to draw a Rescue Ace monster, but now he can use my Appaloosa as the entire link material to link summon his link for World Dragon Zealantis. So World Sea Dragon Zealantis is the only monster in the game, and I don't know why it does this, that can be made with the same link. It has 1 or more effect monsters. So instead of saying most like Link 4s will say 2 or 3 monsters to make sure that you can't just use another Link 4 to make it. Zealantis specifically says one monster. So if you have a Link 4, you can use it as the entire material. So he stole my guy, and now he gets a free Zealantis. Now he's going to activate Rescue. He's going to special summon my Fairy Tale Snow from the graveyard, which allows him to then set one of my monsters face down. And then he activates Rescue Ace Preventor's effect, so he banishes a card from his graveyard to special summon it. Now he activates World Sea Dragon Zealantis' effect. This is absolutely devastating. So my monsters will all punish him if a card leaves my field due to a card effect, but not if they're on the field, and Zealantis takes them all off at the same time. Then he revives every monster that was banished to the owner's field in face-up attack position or face-down defense position. And since I own Snow and he doesn't, he can't bring Snow back. So that means that he brings back all of my monsters that were originally on the board, and Snow stays banished. So I can't bring it back from the graveyard anymore. So my Rulclalos gets set. My Rulclalos is no longer fusion summoned because it was banished, which means that it can no longer come back to the field if it gets removed. He sets my other monsters. Since they're face down, I can't use any of their effects to punish him if he removes my monsters due to card effects. Additionally, I no longer have the protection from my King Sarcophagus of Horus monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects that do not target them. He brings back all 4 of his other monsters. Now he's going to Link summon Link 2 Nightmare Phoenix. And with Nightmare Phoenix, he discards a card. He destroys my King's Sarcophagus. He gets to draw a card. Then he can link his 2 monsters off into Promethean Princess, Bestower of Flames. And Promethean Princess can revive his Nightmare Phoenix. He enters the battle phase, and now he's going to activate World Sea Dragon Zealantis' effect, so he can destroy cards on the field up to the number of co-linked monsters on the field. There are 3 monsters currently pointing to each other, which means he gets to destroy 3 of my cards. He's going to attack me with his Rescue Ace Preventer. So my Kebsnef has been destroyed. Then he attacks into my Tearlament's Rulclalos, and he hits me for 4,400. I already paid 1,000 life points with my Perform Mage Trick Clown, so I'm down to just 2,600 life points. I have the ability to revive a Tearlament's monster, and Kashtira monster, and I also have the ability to, if this card, to negate a monster effect if I have a Tearlament's monster. I have a dead card in my hand. And he runs out of time. Serafi won due to time limit. So there you go. What a crazy game that was. I set up a board that was completely unbreakable. My opponent drew 9 cards thanks to Max C. Then we traded blows crazily. He was able to dodge most of my removal effects, but I was also able to dodge my own costs for cards. So I wasn't paying anything for all the negates that he dodged. And then he ended up managing to take my monster off of a 1 draw and then link it into a free Link 4 that completely changed the game around. What an insane play. All right. I have to say to my opponent, you were a worthy duelist indeed. My name is Serafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.